Welcome to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast, brought to you by www.legaladviceinparadise.com. Even in one of the most beautiful places in the world, life can be litigious. On this podcast, the best and brightest legal minds gather to help you navigate your way through every legal question you may face. This program will help you know your rights, know what steps to take, and help you find the best legal representation, all in simple, easy to understand terms. And now, here's your host, Justine Gronwald.
This episode is brought to you by Lawyer Up, 7-step guide to help you find the right attorney for your needs. Legal issues can be scary, but do you know how to choose an attorney when you need one? Most people don't. I didn't. I chose the wrong attorney and I lost my case. Don't let what happened to me happen to you. Get the book Lawyer Up, and it will guide you step by step on how to intelligently choose the right attorney for any of your legal needs. Get Lawyer Up for only 99 cents today, and when you forward your receipt to us, we will send you 3 exclusive bonuses. Get Lawyer Up for only 99 cents plus your exclusive bonuses by going to www.lawyerupbook.com. That's www.lawyerupbook.com. If you're watching this episode, simply click on the link below this video. Aloha, Agents of Change. This is Justine with Legal Advice in Paradise. Welcome back. Today I have a very special guest, and he is not a legal expert. However, he can help legal experts with their clients, specifically personal injury. So what I want you to do, audience, is think for a moment. If you were in an accident and say you got rear-ended and you couldn't work and you got injured, and so now you're with your personal injury attorney, and now you're working on a settlement. However, there's this lag time, and my special guest will talk about that. What do you do in the meantime financially? And a lot of people out there, you don't have any savings. Most people don't even have $1,000 in savings. What do you do during that time? So my special guest today comes all the way from Illinois. He will talk about this special service that he has, and his name is Ralph Shayne, CEO of Oasis Legal. Before we start getting going, I just want to see if you are not an agent of change. It's a free membership. All you have to do is text your name and your email to area code 808-670-3400 and never miss an episode again. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Legal Advice in Paradise. So without any further ado, I am so honored to have Ralph Shayne on the show. He actually saw some of the shows online and reached out to me and thought, there's a lot more people that need to know about this product. So Ralph, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Justine. Thanks for having me. Ralph Shayne with the company I helped start 12 years ago called Oasis Legal. We help people that have been hurt in an accident and are then facing challenges about what to do economically as they have issues with medical bills and limited savings. And I've seen your work. Thanks. I really like what you've done to try and help people be informed about their decisions as consumers of legal services, and hope we can help let them understand additional options they have when it comes to trying to make ends meet financially when they're in a lawsuit.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for reaching out to me. Now, just a little bit more history. You actually have been in Hawaii, right?
Yes. I took a semester at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in my junior year, and then spent time working after that semester in Waikiki on the beach in a restaurant. It was a nice departure from the Midwest, and has kept me tied to Hawaii since then.
And fantastic, because you're actually going to be here for whenever you're watching this. Ralph will be out here in the mid of 2015, July exactly, right? Around July 22nd.
Yes.
So I look forward to meeting you in person. In the meantime, we want to get this really important information to people who may need it now or in the future. So, and I would say that we would be speaking to attorneys as well. If this is a new product for you, to you that you've never heard about, this would be great to get some information on. So let's get started. The first question we're going to ask you is, how did you get into the business?
Sure. Excellent question. So it was really based on realizing that there was a real need for people who've been hurt in an accident, because the legal process, which most people are not prepared for, takes a long time. And, we learned that people that are hurt immediately because of their injuries might not be able to go to work and have a loss of income, might have to wait several years, sometimes even more than several years, before they get any financial compensation from their legal claim. And people have bills to pay and want to be responsible and want to have some control over their lives. And that's why we realized that there was a need to provide people a small financial bridge. And we figured out how to do that by providing people, by purchasing a small portion of the proceeds from their legal claim, gives people money now, and no financial pressures until that helps them get to their final settlement without having to be in a situation where they're concerned about the financial pressures and potentially taken advantage of by having to take a very low settlement offer that might come if they want to try and settle their case early because of their financial needs.
Right. And, I've interviewed many personal injury attorneys. One, and in particular, made it really clear he actually practices in medical malpractice, and he's actually in my book, Lawyer Up. And he made a point that people don't realize that these things do take time, and that this is not a 1 hour lawyer show where your case is going to be done in an hour. And even me, when I got into my case, I didn't realize it was going to take years. For some reason, we think that it's going to happen overnight, but people just don't understand that it does take time. And because of that, they will need something to bridge the gap, like you said, because, sometimes they may not be able to return to work right away, correct?
Right, that's correct. And sometimes you may not really know the full scale of your injuries, and it might take multiple treatments. And it's for some people that we've helped, it's taken a series of years to really know the full extent of the medical treatment and long-term care they might need for their injuries. And
right. And when I started, when I started interviewing attorneys, I got a real gist of how things work, and it does take time. And so people, like I did, I have to be honest. When I went into my case, I thought, wow, this is going to be a no-brainer. Something was done wrong to me, and it's just going to happen, within months. And I was very, taken aback by the system, the court system. And then in this case, it's also dealing with the insurance company, correct?
Yes. As you experienced, litigation is very unpredictable, but the side that you're litigating against, the insurance companies, this is what they do for a living. They're a $1 trillion industry. They're prepared to litigate and to try and minimize their claims payments. Most people that are in litigation, it's a very new process to them, and don't have the advantage, same advantages. They don't have a financial advantage that the insurance companies do, and they don't have the knowledge or expertise to know what's in store for them. And it's more they can be informed, better.
Exactly. So let's get right into what you do to help people during that time. So what is legal funding?
So legal funding allows people to sell off a very small part of their claim to get money to meet immediate needs. The system as it's designed now has really no consideration for helping people meet their immediate financial needs. As you said, the people need to retain a lawyer. They need to share documents with the insurance companies that are generally liable for these cases. And based on process, which the insurance companies have a lot of control over, it can take a very long time. And there's really no provision to make ends meet, and many people have a loss of income. Often the injuries are going to prevent people from going to work. So we just help people give staying power and a little bit of money now, and then we only get repaid on our investments if there is a settlement. We get paid out of the settlement. So what the money that we provide will, from our standpoint, get repaid if there is a settlement on the case, and there are no payments required in between. We're really purchasing a small portion of the claim, and then or the proceeds from the claim, and then getting repaid if and when you're successful in the case. There's no reason to have any the financial pressures that you'd be under if you were taking out a loan and having to make payments every month. And there's no risk. In fact, you're taking away some of the risk of litigation by knowing that you have an amount now that you're receiving from us that you'll be able to keep regardless of what happens in the case.
And that'll definitely help with some financial pressure, because I'm looking back at some of the interviews that I did with some attorneys. I talked to an attorney about foreclosure, and a lot of people don't. You and I discussed outside of the interview. A lot of people, we don't expect to get into an accident. It's something that hits us by surprise. Financially, it hits us by surprise, and also this attorney talked about bankruptcy, and a big reason why a lot of people end up filing bankruptcy is just because of anything that has to do with medical. Getting into an accident would definitely fall into that category. And in the meantime, what do? Right? And so a lot of people can't pay their bills. They end up going into foreclosure. They end up going into bankruptcy. So if there's any kind of help, I think that would be, really viable for people to look into.
Yes, we help a lot of people with those issues. A lot of people also, are at risk to lose their car, and that might be a very important source of them being able to get to work and for their income. So
right, because I exactly that point that you brought out when I was talking to the bankruptcy lawyer, I said, it's so crazy because you can't pay your car, and because you can't pay your car, now you don't have a vehicle to go to work. I mean, it just snowballs. Everything just snowballs because of that financial gap that needs to be filled. So how exactly does the legal funding work? We covered a little bit about it, but maybe if you can go into detail as to how does it work? There's going to be an attorney involved, and so on and so forth.
Yes. Generally, the people we help have been injured that usually have a physical injury. They always have an attorney and an existing claim. And they will apply with us. We will learn enough about their case to make an underwriting decision and see if there's a claim we feel we can invest in. And it's generally a pretty short process once people apply. We have a lot of people that we're able to help within 24 hours of them applying from us. We get enough details on the case, validate what happened, and come up with our own estimate of the value of the claim.
Another good question I would ask is, if I lose my case, do I have to repay?
No, not at all. We only get repaid if you're successful in your case. You've essentially sold us a small portion of your case, and we only get repaid if that ends up having value. If you're unsuccessful in your case, then we don't get paid, and you have no obligation to us.
Now, is that the same as is that what is called a no recourse?
Non-recourse, yes.
Oh, non-recourse. Okay.
Non-recourse means there's no personal obligation. So you've sold us something that has value. If for some reason that turns out not to have value, we can't go back to you personally. You're under no obligation to go to your other resources to pay us.
So it's pretty much like on contingency. When the attorney takes you on contingency, he doesn't get paid if there is no settlement.
Correct. It's a contingent outcome for us as well.
Okay. So can you provide an example of when this made sense for one of your customers? Sure.
We see many people's cases and have helped over 100,000 people. And it's in the right circumstances, this can be a lifeline. We talked to a client recently who is a police officer, and he was stopped in traffic, and his vehicle was totaled by a runaway garbage truck. And both him and his wife were injured. He was out of work for about a month, and his wife had permanent care issues and is still undergoing medical treatment and has had over $2 million worth of medical treatment so far because of damages that she sustained. He don't make a lot of money. He worked 2 other jobs and had an income of about $140,000. Had to go down to about $50,000 in income while he was getting medical bills that continuing medical bills. And his case is 2 years from trial. Not even going to probably receive an offer from the insurance company for the responsible party until his wife's medical condition bottoms out and plateaus, and they know the full extent of the long-term care needs, which at this point are estimated at over $6 million. So we were able to help bridge him financially, keep his house and meet his immediate needs, and help him provide the 24/7 care that he needs for his wife now, while he pursues his claim.
Wow, that's a radical situation.
That's a pretty extreme situation, and in this case, the injuries were catastrophic. More typical. Another client of ours was a telephone line worker. He made his living by climbing up telephone poles, and he got rear-ended, broke a couple of vertebrae in his neck, and he could no longer climb up telephone poles. So, his injuries did heal over time, and we were able to help him while he needed to transition, and now he's a landscaper, and we were able to help him, keep his family together and his house during the interim while he waited for his settlement as well.
So those are fantastic testimonials of some of your customers, and I actually saw a couple of your new commercials that you produced, and these are real life stories, and so it's something for people to do their due diligence and definitely take a look into if they need your service, they need your product.
Yes.
Okay, so here's another question. Does the process take long?
Well, the legal process does, as we discussed. It can take potentially many years, but our process doesn't. It's, we need to obtain a minimal amount of information from your attorney about the facts of the case, but we're often able to make very quick decisions once we know the very basics of what happened to people, and a good portion of our people receive their money within 24 hours of contacting us.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really quick, 24 hours. So in other words, they just simply pick up the phone and give you a call, and someone will do all the intake for them?
Yes, they can call us or go to our website, Oasis Legal, and once they contact us, we do need them to identify who their attorney is, and it's based on us being able to get in touch with their attorney, and that'll be the gating matter in terms of how quickly we can validate what their case is and put our own value to it, and see whether we're able to help them.
Okay. What type of cases does Oasis funding funds? What type of cases, the more common ones?
Generally, it's someone who's been physically hurt. We don't really look at cases that involve contractual matters. So if you've been injured, it tends to be auto cases, auto, motorcycle, some type of motor vehicle cases. We handle some premise liability cases, but the majority would be people that have been hurt in some type of accident.
Okay, so here's a good question. Is good credit necessary? Because I think some people are looking at this as a loan, but it's not.
No, it's not. We look completely 100% at the merit of the claim. We don't look at people's credit history or creditworthiness or income. Much different than a loan product. It's all based on putting the value on the claim. We will do some searches just to see if there are or liens other people might have on the case, but that's the only investigation that we need to do.
Okay, so it's not a typical loan. So that's good to know.
Not a loan at all.
Okay, that's good. How would consumer legal funding help the plaintiff get more money from their case? And now explain plaintiff. Plaintiff would be the one that's been injured, correct?
Right. That's the person who initiated the litigation and who has a claim.
Okay.
Those are the consumers that we're helping. And we've retained an attorney who's working on contingency. So, the process, works often to the advantage of the insurance companies, where the insurance companies are trying to mitigate what they'll pay out through a series of procedures. Probably, if you've ever had an insurance claim on anything, you've probably been asked, what's your deductible? Do you want to make a claim? It might change what your premiums are in the future. So people are going to encounter that step in the process. Then they're probably going to, there may be an offer to try and settle with people before they hire an attorney, because insurance companies know that people will generally settle for less if they're not represented by counsel. They know it takes people about 2 or 3 weeks before they actually retain counsel, so that gives them a window. And in that process, they will often attempt to make a settlement offer that's a lot less than the value that they think the case has if it goes to trial, or someone actually pursues litigation. So, what we help people from is accepting that very early settlement that is low to a market established fair value for the case. The way we help people is we make sure that they're not taking a low settlement offer from an insurance company just because they don't have the financial means to hold on. Often insurance companies will make an initial offer that's a lot less than what they believe the case is worth if it went to trial, or what your own attorney believes it's worth. And people often have real financial pressures that might make them want to take that offer. We are an option there that allow people to have an alternative that gets them some money immediately to meet their immediate financial needs, but allows them the time that it might take for them to get a fair settlement.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, because I actually did watch a documentary about something like that. And there was this woman who got injured from an auto accident, of course, not her fault. And then what happened was, when she talked to the insurance company, they wanted to settle on an amount that was way less than her medical bills and her bills that were piling up. Her every month everybody has recurring bills every month. So the amount that they wanted to settle with the insurance company didn't even cover the hospital bills, let alone her monthly bills, her monthly obligations. So now she was wondering, what in the world does she do? Right? And that would be, I guess, the pressure. Like, do you take that small settlement from the insurance company and at least try and pay something, or do you stick it out and, get your attorney and get that negotiated with the insurance company? But if you take that route, you need something to bridge the gap, and that's where Oasis Legal comes in, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And we've heard stories of the insurance companies showing up in hospitals with a check. If you sign here, that they will give you a settlement right there.
You're kidding me. They go to the hospital? It's so funny you bring that up, because, attorneys get the bad rap of being ambulance chasers. I had no idea insurance companies will go into the hospital. I had no idea.
I can't tell you that it's common practice, but we've heard stories like that. They might seem great and responsive to immediately, offer you a payment, but it's also coming with a waiver of your rights, and make sure that you're advised, in those situations, that you're not giving up a lot bigger amounts.
Right. So in other words, if they accept that check, it's like, take the check and forever hold your peace. They can't go back. There's no there's no what's the word in a court? There's no appeal to it, right?
No appeal, no rescission. Correct.
Wow. Okay, so that's
Often we'll see people get, a $5,000 offer on a case that people know just from, seeing millions of these that is going to be worth $50,000. So
wow, that's crazy.
But your attorney is going to have a sense of whether that represents the real value.
Right, right. And my interview with Richard Turbin, who we sat with and talked about personal injury and wrongful death injury,
Right.
We talked about how he needs to prepare all this information. It's practically the size of a book that he, with a 20-page letter, 20-plus page letter to the insurance company to show exactly what it is worth. And then, then starts the negotiation. But that takes time because, at least in Hawaii, he says that once they give it to the insurance company, they have 30 days to respond. I think it's mandated. But, in a perfect world, that would be great. But most of the times, or some of the times, he'll have to keep calling them and calling them. Meanwhile, I imagine their clients like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? I'm drowning here. I'm the collectors are calling me. I don't know if I can keep my car. Perhaps they went back to work, but still that's, what they were living on meanwhile is all gone. And you mentioned, I think in one of your advertisements that most people don't even have $1,000 in savings.
Yes, it's true. Bankrate does a study about that every year, and it's, I believe, 2/3 of Americans don't have $1,000 saved up for emergency. That's the people. That's the high point. So under the top 2/3, that has even less saved.
Yeah, so I can see how the insurance companies will say, "Wow, I think they're going to settle. Let's sign this thing off and be on their way." Meanwhile, they'll take whatever pittance that was and still be going backwards in a hurry. And I'm pretty sure if I talk to the attorney, I talked to attorney Steve Gutman about bankruptcy, he'll probably link that story to many of his cases that come to him. And he goes, a lot of people who claim bankruptcy, they're good, hardworking people who got into a situation that was so came as a surprise. And these types of accidents, that's just what they are. They're catastrophic surprises that nobody's prepared for.
Right, right. So, we've seen in cases that have been prosecuted against insurance companies that they have coined a phrase in the past called claims profit. And what claims profit is the difference between the value that they know the case has versus what they're actually able to pay people to waive their claims and to settle the case.
Wow, that's crazy. That just segues into our next question. How can I tell if my insurance company is good at paying claims?
There's some sources out there. There's some watchdog groups. One that we've looked at and researched is called Bad Faith Insurance. It's a website. We have a link to it on our association's website. What they provide is a list two lists. One that they call the Claims Hall of Shame, and then a Claims Hall of Fame. So each one is a list of what they believe the research are the 100 worst payers of claims payments on auto and homeowners policy, and the other list is what they believe are the top paying companies. ArcLegalFunding.org, ARCLegalFunding.org. And there's a blog post there that will connect you to the consumer watchdog group, Bad Faith Insurance. And that has the list from their research of good paying and poor paying insurance companies. And you might find that some of the household names that you're used to are not on the good list.
Yeah, so that would be the big names that you see on TV and yeah, all over the place.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think that's about it for questions, but is there any last thoughts that you want to tell the audience? First, I'd like you to speak to those who probably are in this situation right now. Say they just got into an accident, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it's a lot of the advice that you've been providing, which is do your research on your attorney. Make sure you get an attorney who you're comfortable with and has expertise in what your injury is and experience. And then if you find that you have immediate financial needs, look us up at Oasis Legal and consult with your attorney on whether this option makes sense for you. They will be the one to have the best perspective about how long they think it will take to settle your claim, what your claim's worth, and whether using a financial product like ours makes sense to help you get through the hard times you might be in because of your accident.
And I would say that would be advice for those who have loved ones or friends or coworkers who are going through this right now. I would say to refer them as well. Also, I'd like you to speak to the attorneys, as you know, it's not as widespread. I'm in Hawaii, and it's not a product that it's not used here. So what would you say to the attorneys here in Hawaii?
This is something that has taken a while. We've been doing this for 12 years now, and it's in every city that we go into, it takes a little while for attorneys to get used to or familiar with our product. They should know that it's a very transparent transaction. They will be informed about it. The companies that do this make sure that the attorney is informed and has a chance to acknowledge and consent that this transaction makes sense for the clients. And in the right circumstances, they know their clients as well, if not better than us. They'll be the best people to inform their clients whether this transaction makes sense for them.
Okay, so that sounds fair enough. And Ralph, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy person, and you are 5 hours ahead of Hawaii. So
Yes.
Your day is almost ending, and mine is pretty much hitting noontime soon. So I just want to thank you for your time and for reaching out and wanting to make this product, this financial product, known to people who may need that help to bridge the gap, if they've been caught off guard with an accident and injured and cannot go to work. And so I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Justine. Thanks for having me, and look forward to seeing you in July.
Yes, most definitely. And so for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to Legal Advice in Paradise, and also look us up on iTunes, Spreaker Radio, and also Stitcher Radio. That's Legal Advice in Paradise. And then for those who are listening on audio, we want to say aloha and a hui hou until we see each other again. Goodbye.
Bye, Justine.
Thank you for listening to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast. For more information, visit www.legaladviceinparadise.com.